The final segment of our Sweet 16 for March Madness is gospel and spiritual. Just like with foreign language, it was so hard to choose only 4 pieces to represent this huge swath of American cultural music. And both gospel and spirituals share their roots in American culture. Spirituals are songs associated with African American Christians in the southern USA, particularly stemming from the institution of slavery and dating back sometimes to the 1700s. Spirituals combine European hymn traditions with elements of African music, like syncopated rhythms that don't fall perfectly on the beat, as well as call and response between more solo voice and the ensemble responding. Spirituals often use Bible stories or religious symbolism in order to tell a deeper story, and they often express the pain or resolution that was felt in the lives of slaves. Now, gospel does come from a similar background and a similar time period, but the function of gospel is different. It's often more celebratory and serves as an expression of faith and belief. The first piece in our spiritual and gospel bracket is Didn't My Lord Deliver Daniel? This is a spiritual song that existed a long time ago, but was arranged by Moses Hogan, one of the most well-respected spiritual arrangers. It references several different Bible stories, including Daniel and the lion's den, to show that if biblical figures could have been delivered from difficulty, then anyone could be delivered from the difficulties they're facing in their own life. This would be a very reassuring idea to people living in slavery, that there is delivery for them. This recording features a female trio who serve as a call, with the ensemble often serving as a response. The next piece, Unclouded Day, is arranged by Sean Kirchner, but the words and music were by the Reverend J.K. Allwood. He was a traveling preacher who lived in the 1800s, and one afternoon he was out on a horse ride when he saw on one side of the sky a rainbow against a dark cloud, and the other half of the sky was perfectly clear. That inspired him to write this song that actually has a very similar message to Didn't My Lord Deliver Daniel? Although you may be facing adversity now, there is hope for you in the future. Now, it is interesting that we know the composer of this song, and that's often one of the big differences between gospel music and spirituals. Spirituals are songs that were passed down from person to person, and often the original composer has been lost to history. Gospel, however, can often be traced back to an individual composer who wrote the song, and then it has grown into the gospel tradition from there. The next 2 pieces are arrangements of spirituals that share a central theme that's actually very common in spiritual music, and that is the theme of death. Now, often people hear that and think that spirituals must be very morbid, when actually a deeper understanding of what's being said in the text of the song can make you realize that singing about death in spirituals is actually meant to be uplifting and inspiring. Sooner Will Be Done is a spiritual that's been arranged by many different arrangers, but here it's a version by Stacey Gibbs, which features a soprano soloist. The words, "Sooner will be done with the troubles of the world, gone home to live with my God." When you are done with the troubles of your life, you are rewarded by going to live in heaven. This comes from the Christian traditions of the promise of heaven being a hope and a comfort in the adversities of life. This would have been very powerful to Christian African Americans living in slavery. Despite how difficult and awful their life might have been, they had the promise of heaven to look forward to when their troubles in life were over. Our final spiritual, Ain't No Grave, expresses this idea in a somewhat different way, in fact, in a much more hopeful and optimistic way. Ain't No Grave can hold my body down. It shares the message that after death there will be an ascent to heaven, but by saying it that nothing can hold you down, it can give inspiration to the life that you're living now. Despite any difficulties that are happening, you cannot be held down when you live the right life that will lead you to heaven. This version is very interesting because it features the use of sign language. The full choir will be signing the chorus of the song, with a soloist signing the verses. Just another way of communicating the stories of these pieces, which have lasted for so long and spoken to so many different people. This is the end of my series on our March Madness for choir listening. I hope that as you listen to these 4 gospel spiritual pieces, you're making choices that are informed by your own tastes in music and your own understanding of the background of these pieces. From here on, everyone's bracket might be a little bit different as you move forward and compare the Elite 8, Final 4, and then you choose the one piece that speaks to you the most. These are the kind of thoughts that musicians, composers, arrangers have all the time, choosing what elements of music are most important to them, that they most value in the music they experience and listen to. I hope this has been enjoyable for you and that you've learned a little something about your own musical tastes. If you need a copy of my March Madness bracket, you can find it through my Teachers Pay Teachers site. It is available as a free PDF download. I'll share the link in the information of this video below, but you can also find it by searching Choir Listening March Madness on Teachers Pay Teachers, and you'll find my site for free download.